Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am going to be doing yoga poolside today, and yes, the fear of people staring at me is on my mind. So I like to get into a cross-legged seated position when I first start, and then slowly just starting to stretch my neck. I always start with my neck because my tension always builds up in my shoulder and neck area, so I always make sure that I stretch that out first. Then stretching out my hands and leaning forward just to get into a really good and comfortable position. I also try and locate where I'm at with breathing. So I like to make sure that my breathing for my yoga session is catered for, and if everything checks out, I start with my yoga. So all my yoga sessions involve stretching. You're going to see a lot of stretching throughout this routine because I like warming up my muscles before I engage with any advanced yoga poses and postures that I try out. So you'll see I'll get down on my knees and my hands, creating a tabletop, and just breathing in and out, raising my back, and then also lowering my back, almost like, I can't remember what it's called, but it helps with breathing. Then after, I almost get into a pigeon pose and extend either my right or my left leg, whichever I go first, and then wiggle side to side, bringing up my leg and then stretching all the way out. I like taking the stretch all the way through my arm and to my fingers. Then after that, I do an activated stretch to make sure that I also stretch the back muscles of my legs. Sometimes when you put your hands down, you don't necessarily activate it, but if you lift your hands and make it a little bit more complicated, then you are for sure to activate. I cannot do a pigeon full pose yet, so what I like to do is just try and stretch those muscles so that it would become easier if I advance to a pigeon pose. Then I like to just stretch my legs, pointing my one leg and then bringing my head down onto my leg and then pulling the stretch out to my arm. I'm going to do the same on the other side, but before I do that, I am just stretching my legs. So anytime that I find any tension in my legs, I always like walking, they call it walking out. I always like walking out my legs. So a pro tip for anyone is, especially when you start feeling tension while you're stretching, just try and do some movements to relax those muscles. So again, I'm doing the same on the other side, bringing one leg forward and then extending the other leg to the back and then leaning forward, wiggling from side to side again, just to make sure that I'm activating my hip muscles as well, and then extending or bringing up the one leg and extending my arm just to create that even stretch from the front of my bottom leg muscles to my scapula muscle, my shoulder muscles. And then again, I do an activated pose just to make sure that I activate. Don't worry if you wiggle and wobble and fall. This is all a part of the process. Remember, progress makes perfection, or practice makes perfect. And this is just how we go. See, this pigeon hold is a little bit lower than the other one. So you can see I'm getting a little better. Every day is a practice session, and every day is a stretching session, and every day if you stretch your muscles, they become more and more flexible. Now I do the same thing, still stretching my legs, What I like to do always is try and do like one motion when I go from one position to the other, and I try and create like almost like a nice choreographed move from one position to the other position. I always see the yogis have their own way of getting from one position to another, and because I am not professionally trained and doing this myself, I try and apply those same techniques that I see when I do look at people who have done yoga for quite some time. Right now, all I'm doing is just leaning a little forward and stretching the sides of my legs, the inner thighs, and always my back starts tensing up. I always like doing my back last when I'm done stretching my arms, legs, and neck, shoulder area. Then I go in with my back. So here you can see I'm kind of just pulling to the back, downward. I'm doing this spiral thing that I saw, and I have been practicing this one, so to see my flow just this way, it really is nice. I don't know all the pose names yet, but if you do, you can comment them down below. Right now I am trying to stretch my hands, my wrist area, just to make sure that if I do any lifts that my wrists are warmed up. I do back and forths and make sure that I do apply my body pressure onto my wrists so that they know what's coming. I also do some further stretches. Now what you're gonna see is me getting ready to roll over, and before I do that, I like stretching or mimicking the movement first to let my back know, hey, I'm ready to roll over. And I always try and maintain with the roll over. I always try and see where I can stop and hold the pose, just to make sure that I am using my stomach muscles for mobility and balance. Right now I'm grabbing my rope. It's not a rope, but it's like a little band that you can use. It's not a flexible band or a stretching band, but this is the one that you can use to pull your limbs a little closer to where you want them to, almost like training them to come closer to your head, like you see what I am doing now. So I am trying to get to a point where I can put my head down on both of my legs without having that intense pain. But again, practice makes perfect. So I always try and stretch out these legs. And here I've realized I didn't really focus on posture, and that's the one thing that I realized with my yoga practice, is that I was so ready to advance myself that I didn't always realize that my posture and the way I do things wasn't always on par. So sometimes my back wasn't in a straight position as it should be. And yes, the right way does take a little longer, but the right way is always better. As you can see here as well, I didn't fully engage my hips. I just rolled over to try and touch my toes, but right now I'm doing a full stretch of my body, getting ready to do a bridge, a bending over backwards bridge, but with my head down, and just trying to see if I can hold on to my feet while I'm doing it. I'm gonna do a happy dance now because again, it's all progress for me. And the same is using the rope again, just to try and pull my foot a little to my head with the bending. You can see I'm getting a little flexible in that area. Again, just rolling my back out. Always make sure that if you feel a little tense in certain areas, do take a moment to just stretch out the area that feels like it's tensing up. And right now, this is just me showing off, showing you that I can do a headstand, and showing myself that I could do a headstand, and really just trying to better my headstand mobility, try to see the different things that I can do, moving my legs around. Also increases my mobility, especially when it comes to using my abdomen muscles. And then I was trying to advance into the little rolling your legs while you're doing it as well. And there we have it, rolling out my back again. And then in certain yoga poses, there is a lot of leg extensions and standing. My legs aren't all the way straight yet, so I like to do that just to get my legs a little straight. I hope you guys enjoyed this little visual of my yoga process. I'll see you next time.